This episode is brought to you in part by Cachone 555, raising awareness for the responsible farming of heritage breed pigs through education, eating, and drinking. Please visit cachone555.com for more details.
Welcome to another episode of On Foodable Weekly, and today we're talking trends, but it's a different set of trends. It's the Canadian restaurant trends. You don't want to miss this one. There are some great tips for every operator out there, so stay tuned right here on Foodable Weekly. All right, so as you guys know, we really try to break down trends in the restaurant industry, and some unique things that are happening in the Canadian market are really around three areas that we wanted to kind of discover. One, of course, is interior design. Interior design and lighting are two of the biggest areas of improvement that we have seen in the restaurant industry worldwide, and definitely some very interesting things going on in Canada. So we got a chance to sit down with some experts to really kind of dive into that. Additionally, bar technology is really kind of taking a front and center seat, and that is because the bar business is really exploding, both from an aspect of growth in bar openings, but also in interest from mixologists and bartenders that are getting into the business and creating some really cool concepts. And third trend is sustainability. Obviously, that's not one that is foreign to you guys. We're seeing a huge movement here in the U.S., and of course, with our new show Sustain, it's going to be a bigger movement, I think, as we see content coming out of Canada. So join us as we talk to three experts on restaurant design, bar technology, and sustainability right here on Foodable Weekly. Here we are at the restaurant show in Canada, and I've got Shelley with Against the Grain with me, so thanks for stopping in, Shelley.
Pleasure.
Yeah. Let's go into a little bit about Against the Grain first, and then a little bit about your backstory. What does Against the Grain do for the industry?
Against the Grain spawned out of our background as farmers. My husband and I have been farming for 28 years. He's a fourth generation farmer. I'm a fifth generation farmer. Farming is in our blood. And what we find is that across the board there's this whole disconnect of where people don't know where their food is coming from, miseducation, a lot of hype, a lot of fluff, a lot of, and a lot of times the farmer's not at the table having a part of the conversation. And that's where really Against the Grain spawned out of. We need to be a part of that conversation.
We've got a new show called Sustain on the network, and it's really going down that vein of not only how sustainability is affecting the industry, but obviously this topic around grain and seed and just the whole idea of where sourcing is coming from in terms of the farms. Now, most of what we've been covering is in the U.S., so it's interesting to see you guys really taking a heavy charge here in Canada.
I think it's really exciting, especially being at a show like today, across the board, whether it's the businesses who are producing food for the children's programs, whether it's the culinary students at the universities, whether it's the chefs, whether that's a chain, like they're getting it.
Yeah.
But where I feel that the missing link is about the grains. They're not, I think they're starting to, but that is a topic that hasn't been discussed yet, and people aren't really sort of grasping the whole vastness of where these grains are.
Right.
So, they're loving the idea of the ancient grains.
Yeah.
But we're so far behind. It's not like raising a potato that's a season.
So you Against the Grain, how many products do you guys produce right now?
Well, right now we are focusing on a high beta glucan barley.
Okay.
And that's been a project that we've been working with the Canadian Grain Commission and the studies that have been going on at the universities, developing a barley specifically for the food industry.
Same kind of barley you would use in beer brewing?
No, very different barley.
Okay.
Very different barley. And it's interesting because what us North Americans think of wheat, how we love our wheat, the rest of the world consider barley that way.
Now, and I've seen more and more of barley, the usage in gluten-free aspects. What is the big difference there in terms of the grains when you look at a gluten-free grain like a garbanzo flour, or you get into things like even almond meal, things of that nature? How are grains coming on to that kind of the side of the business when you look at a gluten-free aspect?
I think that's why we're so passionate about the purple corn. Corn is a gluten-free product. Barley has half the gluten in it that a wheat product does. Okay, so barley is not a gluten-free; it's a wheat-free product.
Right.
So for some people who have a wheat sensitivity,
exactly, which sometimes is confused by gluten
it's
sensitivity.
exactly right. So all of a sudden we've got pastry chefs or bakers or anything else like that can use our barley at 100% substitution, and they can say this is a wheat-free product.
So it's like a natural for this. Now, is the word out there enough now where most of the chefs are even realizing that this product is available?
It's starting, but again, it's the same thing. It's the interest is there, but there's on the farming side of it. What we have found is you're either small or you're really big,
super big,
and there's nothing in between.
So you are an interior and restaurant designer firm.
Yes, I am interior designer, and we are actually a multidisciplinary firm. So I'm a partner at that firm. My partner is an architect, but we also have industrial designers and graphic designers and project managers.
You guys do really from brand concept all the way through. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
So we wanted to get you on the show to kind of get some ideas from you in reference to how interior design trends are rolling. So we're seeing a lot of movement in the mid-casual, like fast casual, to upscale casual dining, which is kind of bringing down that super 5-star experience into something that's a little bit more approachable. And I got a chance to visit a few restaurants here in Toronto filming some of our shows. What we're finding is some very unique aspect designs to restaurants. So what are you seeing in terms of trends here, especially in Toronto, in terms of interior design?
I'd say it is mostly sort of a trend towards the more casual dining, but it could be sort of very simple where design seemingly doesn't play a huge part. It's almost really played down to very intricately designed places like Bar-Raval you just mentioned.
Right.
So it's sort of I wouldn't say it's a singular trend.
Well, interesting concepts. We saw Gusto.
Yes.
Really interesting 2-story design over at Buca the other night.
Majesty.
Okay, so let's talk about the themes that are happening. When you look at interior design, lighting is one that we've noticed has really started to elevate some. So creating that ambient experience for a guest. How important is that, do you feel, as a designer? Obviously, you guys think it's really important, but for an operator, what does it do to their bottom line?
Yeah, I think it's actually everybody pretty much knows that lighting is extremely important in the restaurant, and but of course it's one of the aspects of the place. I'd say you could make or break, but there's
really?
In a way, yes, because it's such a sensory experience, dining, and it's not just, and obviously food is the most important element of it, because no matter how great design is, you cannot have a good restaurant without food.
So Matt, let's get into what you do at Barmetrics. What's your gig there?
Sure. So really at Barmetrics, our focus is maximizing profitability for our clients. So finding ways for them to control costs, but also to really engage with their frontline staff and their leadership and management teams to find ways to make the businesses the money that they deserve from their operation.
Right. Yeah. So obviously training is a huge part of the bar business these days, especially with the amount of issues that you deal with, shrinkage and everything from overpours and measuring issues. Absolutely. I mean, it can be an expensive business when the margins are pretty tight anyway.
Absolutely.
What are some of the things you're seeing in terms of the bar business itself, of where some of the biggest failings are?
I think really where some of the biggest failings are now is setting the right expectation with your staff. So when we talk about things like inventory control, it really has a negative context.
Right.
So staff hear about this when there's really big problems in the business. And I think top operators are showing their staff and their management how they really make money and what they need to do to be profitable.
Right.
And engaging the frontline staff on setting a higher expectation.
All right, so let's wrap up with a question for you. You're based here in Toronto.
Yes.
Barmetrics is worldwide, or?
We are. We have coverage. We do projects globally, but our focus is mainly North America.
Okay. What are you seeing in terms of trends? Are you seeing anything in the bar business that's really starting to percolate that says, hey, we need to pay attention to this, whether it's new styles of service or...
Sure.
things of that nature?
I think when we see to trends, it's companies that are coming up, especially here in Canada, that have a proper culture surrounded around their staff.
Okay.
So people that are really investing in a culture that's starting to train managers as they come up through the system and finding a way to improve staff retention.
Right.
We work in an industry where a lot of our clients see 100% plus turnover every year, and it's the companies that are starting to double down on training, putting recognition programs in place so the staff feel recognized and appreciated in their environment, but finding a way to keep people as they grow through the organization that creates a foundation that's stable and allows us to have people that believe what we believe and live our core values as the company grows.
Yeah, very cool. Well, the bar business is huge here. We've had a chance to see some really winners in some of the shows that we've been shooting this week here in Toronto. So thanks for stopping in on an episode of Foodable Weekly.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thanks for watching another episode of Foodable Weekly. Make sure and stay tuned for some more trends here from the Restaurants Canada show right here in Toronto. Thanks for watching. All right, so thanks for watching another episode of Foodable Weekly. And of course, the big news is Foodable Canada. Just by going to foodabletv.com/Canada, you will get a chance to see Canadian only and Canadian origin content. We've really been focusing a development of our blogs and our editorial for several months leading up to the official launch, which was March 1st. We had a chance to do that at the Canadian Restaurant Show there in Toronto. Launched, if you got a chance to get a t-shirt while we were there, it was fun meeting everybody. Definitely want to thank everyone, including the Restaurant Canada Association, for welcoming us into their country and really kind of just giving us a full reign of the show. We had such a great time with seeing what was happening in the industry. If you guys have some ideas coming from the cities of Toronto, Montreal, or Vancouver, shoot them over to us. Just email us, producer@foodabletv.com. If you've got a great restaurant, a great operator, or a great product that you guys want to get on this show, that's the best way to reach out to us. Of course, you can hit us over on Twitter, just @Foodable, and also @Paul Barron. Again, the big thing about Foodable and moving into these international spots, as you guys know, we do cover pretty extensive content coming out of London and the UK, is really that we're seeing a huge growing audience, and it's coming from operators and professionals all around the world. But these are the three big markets that we're really starting to focus on: Canada and the UK, and of course here in the United States. So hopefully you guys will be getting content that's a little closer to home, to your own operators and to your own businesses, that will really be beneficial to helping your business grow. We hope you stay tuned right here on another episode of Foodable Weekly.